JB here, March 12th, 2020. I put on the watch list this morning. The best words I guess I could use to describe the action, of course, is wow. And wow with two things. One, of course, the huge moves we've seen this week. The SPY was already down 7%, and we're going to be, its futures already limit down. Looks like we'll be 6.5 or so at the open. I guess the silver lining here is we're only back to this, we still have December 2018 lows to surpass, right? So it's not like back in 2008, 2009, where we're going to, decades of lows. So we'll see how this all plays out. Last night's, his address to the nation, POTUS's address, it kind of surprised me. Only a day or two ago, it was this coronavirus being dismissed, and then out of nowhere says they're going to ban flights from Europe. Didn't even clarify, so at first I thought, does that mean goods as well? Manufacturing, supplies, all that fun stuff along with people. So they clarified that after, and he clarified it. But still, I mean, it makes it look like this is worse than what is being made out to be. Of course, I mean, if you go on FinTwit, it's been the worst thing ever. So you take everything with a grain of salt. And I think there's a combination of things. Now you have the crude oil prices getting destroyed to start the week, so you have that, and then you have, the more the situation plays out, and the more the market sells off. I think the market's going to start factoring a possibility of a switch in the elections in November. So I'm not going to sit here. Politics is not a place to discuss opinions. Everybody has their opinions, but I just think that's some of it. And you saw some of the swings last week when Biden started to take hold over last weekend. The previous weekend, you could see the markets that they had a rally on that Monday because of it. So, or was it Tuesday? I forget what day it was. All the days get blurred here. But yeah, so I mean, I'm sitting here, and as much as I wanted to try and play some bombs, I was away. We had the big sell-off 2.5 weeks ago, what have you. So that was some of it. And then you come here, and the premiums are just insane. For the way I trade, I don't buy $5 contracts that are 10% out of money with 2 days left to expiration. That just doesn't jive for me. I can't wrap my head around the risk reward. If I'm going to do that, I might as well just trade and scalp stocks. And again, I don't typically trade options to scalp them. The only time I close something out in 30 minutes or an hour is when they're up. If they already rallied 100%, then I'll close them out. I don't go and close them out for a 10% gain or what have you. If I did that, I would just trade stocks. The reason I trade the options is for the risk reward. So if I don't see, and the leverage. So if I don't see that the risk reward and the leverage, I'm not gonna trade it. So unfortunately, I was looking at JDust yesterday, and I had the 13 calls last week because it's a double whammy. So as gold sells off, typically the miners sell off, and then also if the market sells off, miners sell off. Of course, the flip side is true as well. If the markets rally and gold rallies, miners rally as well, which is what has happened over last year or so as gold is rallying into the 1600s. But now you see gold selling off even as its ability to be a safe haven asset. Typically, it rallies as the market sells off, and it's selling off today with the market. So now you have a double whammy on JDust, and it was up 30% yesterday. It's opening up over 30% today, pending anything crazy with 10 minutes left before the open. I may look for some 30 strikes that expire next week, possibly. So maybe a name I look for, but unfortunately, I was looking at I think the 1550s were 10 cents yesterday, the weeklies, and those are going to be $4.50, $5 at least, 50 baggers after the open today. And the reason I look at JDust is because it has inexpensive calls relative to what's going on in the marketplace. So nobody would expect. JDust was like $8 last week. Maybe did it hit 7, maybe $8, and here it is over 100% in less than a couple sessions. So it's just one of those names that could do that. So in retrospect, of course, SDS was a trade, but it wasn't moving much relative to the sell-off to start the week. So I locked the rest of my SDS calls in because the risk reward to me wasn't there. If we get some kind of bounce, the calls were up nearly 300%. We'll probably go back to near even. So anyway, so that's my little rant there. Some of these other names to play. I mean, there's going to be coronavirus plays. Those have been going up and down. So I typically don't trade the pump of the week with some of these names. So we'll have to see. I also put in a watch list this morning. and someone brought up here in the chat room, there's all these events being canceled. Of course, the NBA season, which was a surprise. I would not be surprised to see some other announcements soon. And then you have to be concerned that if you have weekly options, who knows? We could have a crazy sell-off, and then, to protect from a huge crash into the weekend, they close the markets on Friday. So just be aware. I don't want anybody to be, miss out on weekly puts or what have you because you close them out because JB says they're going to halt the market and close it for trading tomorrow. But certainly there's crazy things going on now. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility they could announce some kind of closure. Back during Sandy was a surprise because Sandy just had the impact in the Northeast, and of course New York City was inundated, flooding to subways and what have you. You would think in this day and age of electronic trading, where a lot of the stuff doesn't happen on trading floors anymore, it was kind of a shock that they closed the markets down for, it was 2 days. I think it was the first time since like the Civil War or whatever the markets, 1800s, that the market was closed 2 days in a row. So not putting it out there to scare anybody, but I mean, you have to think as these cancellations continue. I mean, what isn't going to be canceled or what have you. So we'll have to see how this all plays out. The other time before that, I think it was 9/11 was the last cancel. Market day was closed at 9/11. You also had halts. So there hasn't really been too many halts. I think one of them, there was a glitch. I don't know what year that was. Even in the flash crash, and some of the reason these circuit breakers came in, when we had the flash crash, I think it was in the spring of 2011, 2012, whatever that was, the market just sold off and they didn't get halted. So you saw some crazy trades. I mean, I think Apple dropped like 20% in a matter of 5 minutes. There was a lot of these different names that hit, like, I think some traded for like $1, like a stock that was $100 went all the way down to $1. And this is back, there was no circuit breakers. So now that we have these instruments in place, the possibility for some of those wildness kind of scenarios playing out, just not the same. But yeah, INO, right? A lot of these names. I mean, JMIA was another one of those names that just gets pumped, and then there's blatant fraud going on at the company. It gets pumped and then gets destroyed. INO, a lot of these other names that are plays on, on this hype, similar to what happened in the cannabis space, Bitcoin. Every cycle that comes around with some kind of hype that's going on, people say, "Oh, how can I trade this? What should I get into?" So we'll see how this all plays out. I don't think I've ever used the analogy that cash is a position, right? Because I mean, I'm here to trade. I'm not here to sit on my hands and do nothing. But protecting your capital, I think, is important. And I'm not going to sit here and buy a $5 put contract, watch the stock go down, and see the contract go up to $5.20. It's just not how I trade, right? I trade, in the Roku trade was the premise that even if we do continue to sell off, there's going to be bounces. We've seen these bounces already, and you'll see some huge moves. So for 30 cents, I'm willing to take a risk-reward setup on a name that I think is going to squeeze quite a bit if we do rally. So that's kind of the thought process there. I'd rather get 20 or 30 contracts at 30 cents than get 6 contracts at $5, and 20 cents, only $120. Where if I get a double on 30 contracts at 30 cents, that's some nice coins. So, or $1,000 or 2,000, whatever it is. That's the kind of the way I trade. So it helps hopefully understand my thought process there. I think that's about it. I'll try and get back on the audio. Hopefully there's some tradable opportunities here today, at least for how I trade. Kudos to the folks at Boeing. You guys killing that. Rock and roll. I'm trying to think of some other sell-offs back. Maybe it was 2012, the summer. No, it was 2011 with the Euro debt crisis. And I remember in the summer, I think I went away for a week, and I pulled the quotes up, and I looked and was like, Priceline back when it was not called Booking.com. I think I left, it was $600. I came back in a week, it was $300. CME, which is down here 180 right now, that did I think it did a 3-for-1 split, but it was one of the few stocks that were quoted over $100. There weren't many stocks over $100 back in 2008, 2009, 2011. And CME went from 700 all the way down to 300, or maybe even went lower than that. So there were some crazy moves, and of course we're seeing some of that, some of the names, especially in the travel sector. But if we continue to sell off, then you have to start thinking, Does Apple go under $200? You look at some of these other names like Shopify, which is getting destroyed. Does that go back to 250? And if things continue to sell off, it'll be a broad-based sell-off regardless of how the growth of the company and stock. TTD's down to $200. So anyway, that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back. Rock and roll.